My husband and I recently made a decision that could very likely greatly impact our homeschool this coming school year. And if you also are curious about state scholarship type programs for your homeschool, stick around for today's video. This video may not apply to everyone because these types of programs do vary by state. However, I currently live in a state that offers a scholarship type program for a wide variety of families that now includes homeschooling families. Now, before we get any further, I know what you're thinking, and they're probably the same thoughts that I have. My first initial reaction was, no, I don't want any part of that because I really don't want the government oversight when it comes to my homeschool, especially with the state that we live in. We really don't have much for oversight. However, after having conversations with my husband and really actually looking into the program, it turns out there's actually a little bit less oversight within the program. I do live in a state that does require some reporting each year. Now, they give you a variety of different options. However, for our particular scholarship program, we are required to do testing at the end of the year. This is something at first that I really was unsure of. However, after having looked into it a little bit further, I think it actually might make things a little bit easier for me. I still can kind of keep a little portfolio, but it really just will be more for us, for our homeschool, not necessarily for things that we need to report on at the end of the year. And I was actually already considering doing some kind of test at the end of third grade just to kind of gauge where we were and kind of get an idea of what things maybe we needed to kind of draw some attention and focus to over the course of the next few years, and then test again, maybe sixth grade or so. So it was something that I had already been considering for our upcoming school year, but now knowing that it is a requirement for this scholarship program, it's now not an extra thing that we have to do. It's just part of it. And so that eases the stress a little bit because I don't have to keep up with the portfolio and getting it certified and all of those things, and also doing testing in addition to. I can just do the testing, which I wanted to do anyway, and that counts for everything that we need for the state. And so that just makes the end of our school year a little bit smoother. Now, this does not mean there is no governmental oversight. That's just the nature of it. However, it doesn't feel intrusive at this point. The information that we are required to submit is not any more information than what I was required afterwards. It's actually, like I said, it's just a little bit less work on my part because all I need to do is make sure that our information is updated each year and submit a test. And with the test, we have a wide variety of testing options and actual tests that we can use. So we're not limited to just one or two that the state deems appropriate. There's a very wide variety that is accepted for the scholarship program. And one of those tests is actually the classic learning test, which I recently heard about through the Brave Homeschool Conference that Made to Homeschool did. So that was kind of a fun thing to be able to interact with them in the conference and learn a little bit more about them. And then also now knowing that it's an option for us when it comes time to do testing for our state. Kind of already have that relationship built, and I know a little bit of more what to expect on that test. Another potential negative that comes from these scholarship type programs, again, I am just specifically referring to the scholarship program in my state. However, I feel like this is probably universal across the board, is funds are not immediately released to the parents for you to just use as you see fit. There are regulations on what's appropriate for the funds to be used on. In my state, they do give a shop area, so an online shop where you can purchase anything through that shop with the funds that you currently have available, and it's approved, no worries, everything is good to go, it gets shipped directly to you, no problems. However, that doesn't include some of the extra things that you may want to include as part of your homeschooling curriculum. So think extracurricular activities, which are approved in my state. They just have to be reimbursed. So you do have to put the money up front for those and then have that money reimbursed. And I have seen that that process can be a little cumbersome and a little difficult. However, as the program has gone, it has become more smooth and a little bit easier to deal with. And as long as you have the funds available and you are still working within your budget, then it shouldn't cause too many issues. Those funds then come back to you and everything kind of evens out. The problem becomes when you are paying for something that maybe is typically out of your budget and the funds don't become immediately reimbursed back to you. Then that's when things can get a little sticky. So what my husband and I have decided to do is have a completely separate scholarship account. That account will hold what we need for scholarships, and that's all that will be used for. So that will kind of be a free-floating account that is strictly used for school things so that it is not affecting our day-to-day budget. I just feel like that's the easiest way to keep the two things separated. And then if I need to go back and show receipts for things or proof of purchases or anything like that, it's very easy to find over in its own account. So just something maybe to keep in mind if you are considering a program like this, that could be a really helpful way for you to kind of set up your budget and making sure that you're able to separate the two, but you can still make some purchases that you need to without it affecting your daily budget. Ultimately, we decided we're going to give it a try because the reality is we can withdraw at any time and go back to what we were doing originally. But more than just we have the option to get out, I feel that this can provide so much more opportunity in our homeschool and really, quite honestly, a little more freedom in our homeschool because we have access to funds that we don't normally have. We normally budget fine with our homeschool and we're able to get several of the things that we need and a couple of things that we want for our homeschool, and it's not been an issue. However, with having this as an opportunity, now we can include more curriculums. We can include some really fun extracurricular activities like art classes or piano classes or things that my daughter really would love to do, but we've just not been able to because it just doesn't work within our budget. Having these funds available and knowing that those are all approved type extracurricular activities really kind of opens the door to a lot of those fun extra things for her. Also along those same lines, now that my daughter is starting to get a little bit older and we're actually starting to need a little bit more physical curriculum in our homeschool, while we love unit studies and we will likely continue to use them, they're just not sufficient as a full curriculum all year for us at this point. So we do need spelling curriculums and we need math curriculums, of course, and we need some extra language arts practice and all of those things. And so being able to purchase those through the shop and knowing that it's taken care of, again, it's not coming out of our monthly or yearly budget, just really relieves a lot of the worry. And really the thing that convinced my husband and I the most is we talked to friends that have used this program. They actually used the program last year and they all had a great experience and said that it was totally worth it. And the same thing as we felt, if things started to get a little too pushy or a little too restrictive, they would just withdraw and go back to doing what they were doing before. And we honestly kind of felt the same. So It's really, really great to talk with some friends that you know have used the program and get firsthand experience. And the really good news is they're able to help if you get into a situation where you're not sure or you need clarification on something. Typically, they have already gone through all of the process, so it'll be a lot easier to get information and help from them. So all things considered, we're gonna try it out. And you know that I will keep you guys in the loop, of course. That is it for today's video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.